a coded transmission, leaked from a private satellite network over eastern Turkey. The message was simple: we found it. It's not a formation. At first, no one believed it. Not the geologists, not the military, not even the researchers who had dedicated their careers to chasing the Ark myth. The satellite imagery seemed inconclusive, until a thermal overlay revealed a symmetrical anomaly embedded in the ice-caked southern slope of Mount Tenderek, less than 30 kilometers from Mount Ararat. Not a rock formation, not a shadow, a vessel, hollow, ribbed, wooden. Within 48 hours, an unmarked team was flown in under the cover of a geological survey. What they uncovered sent shockwaves through every encrypted channel in global academia. Beneath layers of volcanic sediment, carbon dated to over 4,000 years ago, they found a sealed corridor, constructed from timber not native to the region. Cedar and acacia fused with pitch. The wood was petrified, but intact. A tunnel was drilled. A fiber optic camera was lowered inside. And then, everything changed. The chamber they uncovered was enormous, 515 feet in length, divided into multiple levels, each framed by precisely spaced bulkheads. Not random, not natural, this was architecture. Before we continue, subscribe now, because not everything you're about to see will stay online. Suspended in midair by massive wooden beams was a central corridor, running the full length of the interior. Along the walls, hooks, racks, feed troughs carved from solid timber, and then objects, rows of them, each sealed in a tar-like resin, cylindrical containers made from animal hide, some still soft to the touch. Inside, strands of hair, claws, fragments of eggshell, samples cataloged by species. Many are extinct, others don't match anything in modern biology databases. The temperature dropped suddenly during extraction. One researcher collapsed. By the time emergency crews arrived, the biometric monitors they were wearing had gone haywire. Heart rate spiked, blood pressure crashed. Radiation levels inside the Ark chamber were measured at 14 times baseline. And yet, deeper inside, another door, hidden behind a false wall. When opened, it led to a spiral descent, down to a sealed room they later named the core. There, beneath layers of dust and silence, they discovered the inscriptions. Not in Hebrew, not Aramaic, something older. Characters that match Proto-Elamite markings found in only one other place, a lost ziggurat site outside Susa, Iran, thought to predate the Sumerians. But these inscriptions weren't ceremonial. They were instructions, schematics, detailing water flow systems, weight distribution, and something else. Lines leading outward, tracing a constellation map, a star pattern matching the sky on Earth in 10,900 BCE. Embedded in the wall was an alloy disc, circular, not copper, not bronze. It responded to touch, activating a low-frequency vibration that pulsed through the floor. When researchers placed it near the tar-sealed crates, the resin began to dissolve. Not melt, dissolve, as if the material had been engineered to respond to that frequency. Inside the first crate, skeletal remains. 2 identical canines, one with fur still clinging to its skull. Their teeth were unnaturally sharp. Biologists later confirmed their DNA matched no known species, but did resemble fossilized wolves discovered near Lake Van in 1927. Those wolves were estimated to have gone extinct over 6,000 years ago. Another crate, feathers, iridescent like oil on water. No matching samples in the global avian genome bank. Blood residue was still present on the inner wrappings, coagulated but biologically intact. That's when they realized these weren't just storage containers, they were preservation chambers, and there were dozens more. The main corridor led to a massive altar-like structure, almost completely eroded by moisture. But underneath, preserved in silt, was something that shouldn't have existed. An ancient lens formed from quartz and obsidian, precisely polished into a convex disc. When aligned with the wall carvings, it refracted sunlight through a slot in the hull, casting a perfect map of Orion and Pleiades across the ceiling. Beneath that same altar was something even more cryptic. A burial mound, human remains, adult male, about 6 feet 4 inches in height, clutching a staff carved with animal motifs. In his ribs, a fragment of gopher wood, fused with bone. Around his wrist, a copper bracelet engraved with the same proto-Elamite script. When translated, the words were simple: "He who gathered life." Suddenly, what had been a myth was now a riddle. Was this Noah, a king, a priest, a biologist? As excavation continued, ground-penetrating radar revealed one final chamber, buried 40 feet below the hull, shielded by volcanic glass. And what lay beyond was beyond anything archaeologists had ever imagined. The metallic chamber pulsed with a faint blue glow, casting eerie shadows that flickered across the walls. It was unlike anything recorded in the annals of archaeology. The surface was smooth but etched with a complex network of circuits, ancient technology, embedded beneath centuries of stone and ash. A sudden surge of electromagnetic energy caused instruments to fail. Communications blacked out for nearly 5 minutes, forcing the team to retreat. When signals returned, they discovered the chamber's air held trace amounts of an unknown isotope, one that shouldn't exist on Earth's surface, at least not naturally. Inside the vault lay a crystalline cube, roughly the size of a man's fist, emitting a low-frequency hum. When researchers touched it, their thoughts became clouded with visions: roaring floods, towering waves, skies on fire. Some spoke of hearing whispered voices in dead languages, warnings perhaps, encoded in patterns too subtle for the conscious mind. An ancient mechanical device sat beside the cube, a clockwork contraption of brass and wood, intricately carved with celestial motifs. It appeared to be a celestial calendar, designed to track cycles far beyond human lifespans, hinting at astronomical knowledge lost to time. Further analysis of the metallic walls revealed traces of organic compounds, proteins, lipids, even strands of ancient DNA. Scientists concluded the chamber wasn't just storage, it was a biolab, a genetic archive meant to preserve life's blueprint beyond catastrophe. The implications were staggering. Whoever built this ark had access to technology and knowledge far surpassing what was thought possible in the ancient world. Beyond the biolab, the team's georadar picked up a series of tunnels leading into the mountain itself, sealed by massive stone doors, carved with inscriptions warning trespassers of dire consequences. These corridors branched deep underground, hinting at a hidden network, possibly a sanctuary or escape route, untouched for millennia. Excavation revealed water channels connected to an ancient hydraulic system designed to manage massive volumes of water far beyond the flood narrative. These channels were engineered with precision, resembling modern dams and sluices, indicating a civilization with advanced engineering skills. Strangely, pollen and spores found deep inside the ark's sediments matched flora that existed only in remote regions of Siberia and the Caucasus during the late Ice Age, suggesting that the ark's journey or its origin connected ecosystems thousands of miles apart. Inside one of the sealed compartments, fragments of scrolls surfaced, their delicate papyrus almost perfectly preserved. The text wasn't in any known language, but contained diagrams depicting star maps, animal anatomy, and cryptic symbols reminiscent of the ancient Proto-Elamite script discovered earlier. The scrolls hinted at genetic modification, selective breeding, and an understanding of life cycles that implied the Ark was not just a refuge, it was a lab for safeguarding and possibly enhancing life forms. As the team pushed further, they discovered a cache of ritual objects, ornate bowls, finely carved figurines of unknown animals, and vessels inscribed with prayers or incantations invoking protection and rebirth. These artifacts suggested the Ark's mission wasn't purely practical. It held spiritual significance, a bridge between divine command and human survival. Nearby, a perfectly preserved cedar chest revealed dozens of small amber vials, each sealed with wax and containing a strange, viscous liquid. Preliminary tests showed the fluid to be a complex organic compound, possibly an early form of medicine or preservative. One vial shattered accidentally during handling, releasing a scent reminiscent of myrrh and frankincense mixed with something metallic and sharp, an aroma previously undocumented but linked in ancient texts to life essence. Behind the chamber, a hidden alcove held skeletal remains not human nor animal, but a hybrid of both. Long limbs, elongated skull, fingers too slender and articulated for any known species. Carbon dating placed the remains at nearly 5,000 years old. DNA sequencing revealed a combination of human and unknown genomes, a being engineered or evolved beyond natural boundaries. This discovery shattered established anthropology and fueled debates about ancient intervention, lost civilizations, or even extraterrestrial contact. Above ground, satellite imaging exposed a ring of stone pillars surrounding the Ark site, aligned precisely with solstices and equinoxes, forming a celestial calendar and ceremonial ground, hinting at ongoing rituals tied to cosmic cycles. The site's magnetic anomalies disrupted nearby electronics for kilometers, causing compasses to spin wildly and electrical grids to flicker, phenomena historically reported in the region and linked in local legend to the breath of the gods. As night fell, drones captured a spectral glow rising from the mountain's peak, unexplained electromagnetic pulses coinciding with shifts in the Earth's magnetic field, fueling whispers of an ancient power awakening. The Ark, it seemed, was not a relic of the past, but a beacon reaching into the present, its secrets still alive, its purpose unresolved, and the world was only just beginning to understand what lay within. Then the mountain answered. On the 76th hour of the excavation, a tremor hit, not seismic, rhythmic, pulsing in intervals of 4 seconds, as if the mountain itself were responding to something buried deeper still. Instruments recalibrated, nothing on the surface, but ground-penetrating scans lit up with a circular pattern beneath the central hull, something massive, metallic, still functioning. A shaft was drilled. The moment they pierced the lower threshold, a dense black mist hissed out, setting off alarms. Within seconds, 5 crew members reported intense vertigo. One collapsed. His final recorded words were a whisper. "It's waiting." Inside the sealed vault, they found the source. A chamber with walls lined in obsidian, carved into hexagonal cells, each housing what looked like smooth black tablets, humming faintly, vibrating with a subsonic frequency. Dozens of them, each engraved with symbols no team member could decipher, except for one researcher, a linguist from Ankara, who recognized the shape. It matched a pattern found on Neolithic burial stones in Göbekli Tepe, thousands of years older than the Ark itself. The symbols weren't just language, they were coordinates. Coordinates pointing to multiple sites across Turkey, Iraq, Iran, even the Tibetan plateau. A network, a system. The Ark wasn't alone. One of the black tablets, when exposed to infrared light, revealed a coded map overlaid with topography that didn't match any current landscape. But when the terrain was digitally reversed, subtracting thousands of years of erosion, it aligned perfectly with submerged structures off the coast of India and the remnants of lost cities in the Black Sea basin. The flood wasn't local, it was global. Tucked beneath a false floor panel in the obsidian vault, the team found a cylindrical object, an ancient container wrapped in woven palm fibers, sealed with wax and pitch. Inside, a rolled parchment, blackened with age, wrapped around a copper strip etched with microscopic inscriptions. Lab scans revealed that the copper sheet wasn't mined, it was synthesized, smelted with tin and a trace element unknown to the periodic table. The language, once magnified, was Proto-Hurrian. One line repeated again and again. The stars fell, and the water rose. Radiocarbon dating on the parchment returned an impossible result: 19,600 years. Elsewhere in the Ark, another chamber activated. Sensors triggered by movement revealed a domed ceiling, coated in layers of mirrored mineral. When lit, it cast a planetarium of the night sky, not from the mountain, but from somewhere else. The stars were unfamiliar. Only after astronomical alignment software was run did the truth emerge. The view matched Earth's position not from its current tilt, but from a previous axial shift, suggesting the builders of the Ark had witnessed a celestial realignment, pole shift, possibly induced. Below the dome, 6 sarcophagi rested in a circle. Unlike anything else in the vessel, they were formed from polished black basalt, sealed with bronze clamps. Each bore a different emblem: serpents, birds, a tree, a spiral, a horned figure, and a human eye. Thermal scans showed no heat signature inside, no decay, just silence. When the first lid was removed under sterile conditions, what lay inside was not a corpse, but a perfectly preserved manuscript, handwritten in blood. Its language remains untranslatable. Its ink resists chemical analysis. But at the very end, marked in the universal symbol of the Ouroboros, a snake devouring its tail, one phrase was clear: begin again. Meanwhile, global satellites began detecting subtle magnetic fluctuations radiating from Mount Tenderek. Scientists initially believed it was interference, until GPS devices across the region failed. Drones dropped, and the ISS, passing directly overhead, logged an unexplained data blackout for 17 seconds. That was the exact window when one of the sarcophagi opened on its own. What emerged was not visible, but every motion detector on the site was triggered simultaneously. A burst of static erupted on all frequencies, and a sound, captured only once, echoed through the chamber, a single note, deep and bone-rattling, like the blast of a shofar heard underwater. The following day, livestock across villages within a 20-mile radius refused to eat. Dogs howled without pause. Several locals claimed to see lights dancing in the mist over the peak. The Turkish government, citing safety concerns, issued an immediate no-fly zone. The dig team was removed. 2 members refused evacuation and have not been seen since. The final transmission sent from the base camp's server before going offline was a still image from the Ark's innermost vault. A stone relief, faded, fragmented. It shows a man standing in a circle of flame, reaching toward a descending object in the sky. Around him are animals, elephants, lions, eagles, kneeling. And behind him 12 dark figures with elongated skulls and cloaks, holding staffs embedded with crystal shards. Etched in the stone just beneath them in letters nearly worn smooth, "Those who survive shall remember the fire." And in a language only the mountain still speaks, the Ark answered back. The scans deepened. What they found next blurred the line between myth and machine. It was identical, not just in size but in layout. Compartments, feed troughs, channels cut into the wood for waste runoff, and beneath it all, something that shouldn't exist in any timeline. Carbon-14 testing returned a date nearly 5,000 years old, but buried inside one of the sealed lower decks was a sealed clay jar, labeled in pre-flood Sumerian pictographs, untranslatable by any modern linguist. The jar was heavier than it looked. Inside, strands of what looked like hair. Human hair. Preserved. Unfossilized. DNA analysis returned a genome with no modern match and an anomaly, 48 chromosomes, not 46. The lab quietly shut down within 72 hours of that discovery. Footage from that moment never aired. Not on Turkish state media, not in the hands of the original film crew, but one clip leaked. A scientist sobbing, holding a vial in one hand, and muttering something in Turkish. "This is not from our world." His face vanished from public record a week later. The corridor where the jar was found had walls blackened by what looked like fire, but there was no smoke damage, no burn pattern, just radiation, traces of isotopes not found naturally on Earth. Something had tried to sterilize the room, or contain it. And that's when they found the first symbols, not written on wood, but seared into the grain like brands. The icon matched one only seen once before, carved onto a stele recovered from a 1968 dig near Göbekli Tepe. That stele was also classified and sealed. When satellite radar scanned beneath the Ark's burial chamber, the image returned something impossible. A spiral shaft beneath the vessel, descending at a perfect golden ratio, and ending in a geometric chamber, completely metallic. Deep Earth radar stopped working the closer they got. Every excavation attempt was blocked, not by Turkey, but by an outside coalition, unnamed. Their insignia wasn't military, it was mathematical. 2 days later, seismic activity registered at the site, a low hum below human hearing. Locals nearby reported migraines. Animals vanished. Flocks of birds flew in perfect circles overhead for hours, then dropped dead mid-air. Someone, or something, had activated something beneath the Ark. Remote sensors placed at the edge of the dig picked up a thermal signature, a pulse, like a heartbeat, radiating every 17 seconds. Electrical interference scrambled every drone feed. One autonomous unit that made it close to the chamber sent back 3 seconds of footage, a single stone object, hovering, rotating, covered in inscriptions that shifted frame to frame. Freeze frame analysis revealed one chilling detail. The object wasn't hovering, it was held aloft by strands of water vapor, twisted like cords. Anti-gravity wasn't the right word, it was responding to observation. The writing on the object matched no known language, but an AI trained on pre-phonetic proto-languages rendered a tentative translation. 5 symbols, repeating in a loop. The phrase, "He will return through the gate." Archaeologists fell silent. One left the project entirely. Another refused to sleep indoors for weeks. Something about that translation felt alive, not metaphorical, not ancient, immediate. Behind closed doors, the Turkish Antiquities Council issued an emergency order. The dig was to be reburied, permanently, even under threat of international backlash. When asked why, the minister's only response was, "The mountain has spoken." Satellite images from 3 weeks later showed a strange phenomenon. The slope of Mount Ararat, where the Ark had been buried, had shifted. Trees stood at angles never before recorded. And at the summit, a perfect circle of snow had melted into bare stone, forming the unmistakable shape of a keyhole. One final drone passed over that summit, launched by a rogue independent team. The video was never officially released, but fragments remain on the deep web. Frame by frame, at the very edge of the final transmission, a shadow moved. Not cast by cloud or bird or drone, it moved upward, against gravity, and then the signal died. If this is what they buried, what else have they locked away beneath our feet? Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this is just one piece of a much larger puzzle, and what comes next may rewrite everything.